right now in my career, a lot of people like boost this, boost that, boost this. You know, fighting boost is a lose-lose situation. You know, I win, they're gonna say, oh well, he was young, he wasn't ready. You know, he was talented, he was skillful, but you got the experience over him. You got, you know, so much more than this kid that never been tested before. It's gonna sell a little bit because of your name and what you just accomplished. You know, but now what? I'm looking for big challenges. You know, I'm trying to go up in weight and fight Charlo. You know, because that's something that's history in the making. It's a lot at stake. You know, there's nothing really at stake with fighting boots. You know, I'm at the tail end of my career, and I'm trying to make things make sense.
We unpack. We unpack. We unpack. Coming to you live, Boxingego unpack. Yeah. We unpack. We unpack. We unpack. Coming to you live. Hey yo, it's like a lose-lose. Already my rep ruined. How I beat Dewey, no will accept losing. Me, underachiever, was an underachiever. Almost thought you would come with the ether. Terence Bud Crawford, he goes on the Breakfast Club. He says Jaron boots Ennis basically is not worth his time. It is a lose-lose situation if he were to get in there and lace him up with Boots Ennis. And I got something to say about that, so stay tuned to this video. Idiot. What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I am back with some more boxing. So you guys heard Terence Crawford. He's making his rounds. He did a good job promoting the Spence-Crawford fight, and as the victor, he beat Errol Spence via stoppage. And as the victor of that particular fight, he continues to do those rounds. So credit to him. This is the most promotion that I think we've ever received from Crawford, and it looks like he's trying to capitalize on it. So I'm not mad at that one bit. Now, there are some things that Crawford continues to do and say that I just disagree with the reason or rationale being presented to me. And that's what I want to explore. One of these inconsistencies with Jaron Boots Ennis. You heard it. Terence Crawford, he basically, I'm just going to paraphrase, is saying Jaron Ennis is not worth his time. He's at a special place in his career. He's at the tail end of his career. And, you know, what's the point? When he beats him, or if he beats him, he says people are just going to come up with excuses and say, oh, this kid was too green. This kid wasn't ready, yada, yada, yada. So for starters, Jaron Boots Ennis is Terence Crawford's mandatory. So I don't know. I feel Crawford feels he's done so much that he's in the conversation with like what Floyd Mayweather or Pacquiao or Canelo has accomplished. And to me, it's far from that. Terrific fighter, very skilled fighter. He beat Errol Spence. But I think like this is just my honest opinion. I think Terence Crawford is trying to make up for lost time. He spent a decade plus with Top Rank, didn't get the big names, didn't have his career moving and jumping like a lot of his PBC counterparts. And now he is a free agent. Maybe he's liking it, understanding it. He received more positive press and more attention for this PBC fight. So basically, this is crazy to me, and I'm gonna say things in this video, and the Bud Buddies could get mad, but you don't really hear Terence Crawford give PBC their praise, give Showtime praise, or overly praise them. He thinks he's done this himself, but it's not rocket science, at least to me, that everybody was telling you in your career when you were with Top Rank, hey, you should leave. They don't have the welterweights for you. And PBC has this big plethora of welterweights that you could fight, and it would just be a better look for your career. So I truly believe with Crawford's skills and his ability, he would be moving if he had listened to that. But Crawford is a stubborn individual, and he didn't do it. Now, it's no mystery to me that your very first fight away from, I mean, you can count the BLT Prime fight or whatever, but I'm not really counting that because literally where are they in boxing? I'm talking about your first fight outside where you got with a real network and a real promoter outside of Top Rank. Your first hurrah is much more of a success in terms of people giving you credit for the Errol Spence victory, the attention. You made more of a press run, the way it was handled, the all access epilogue. Like literally, just be real with yourself. Name another Terence Crawford fight, any of his fights with Top Rank, where after the fight, you still see him popping out and he's on CBS, he's on The Breakfast Club. They're doing an epilogue, which is doing 1 million+ views in a day or so. Bro, he's never received this type of attention. So I think he owes Showtime and PBC and Al Heyman really an apology, because this move and this connection probably should have been made a long time ago. So fast forward to the future. I know you want me to talk about the boots, but I had to get that off my chest because this is an unpack. This is my show. We unpack, coming to you live. So I got to get these things off my chest. In addition to that, so Jaron boots is your mandatory. My thing is this. I have so many counter arguments to that. It is not even funny. So I think Crawford is trying to make up for lost time, but that's not how it works. You still have to fight the fights that the fans want to see. This is your mandatory. You had no problem fighting Mean Machine when he was coming off of a poor performance versus Ray Robinson that was scored a draw. And anybody who watches boxing, if you were to watch that fight, if you are so inclined, you'll know that Ray Robinson really should have beaten him. It really wasn't a strong performance by Kavaliauskas, and I thought he really should have lost the fight. So he was your mandatory coming off a bad performance. Jaron Ennis is your mandatory, and he's coming off a spectacular performance over Villa, where he's doing Matrix-like moves, and you're basically shutting it down and closing the door on that particular fight. That's the biggest thing that I have a problem with. I can't tell you what Crawford's next deal is. Errol Spence could trigger the rematch. But the fact that Crawford is openly limiting his options by telling you a guy that should be an option just absolutely isn't an option, I guess that's the biggest gripe that I have with it, right? The biggest gripe is a guy like Crawford who just entered free agency. If he's who he says he is, Jaron Ennis is a fighter where he's saying, and this is another thing we disagree with. He's saying that people will come up with all these excuses about how Jaron Boots Ennis isn't ready. But that doesn't really make sense to me, because Jaron Ennis is bigger than you. He's strong. He's ambidextrous, switch hitter like you, and he's been looking phenomenal, and he's an undefeated fighter and you're mandatory. So you can always find a critic. No matter, it could be the best movie. It could be The Godfather 1 and 2. Somebody doesn't like that movie and thinks it's overrated. So we're not really here to focus on the minority opinion, the opinion of so few people, when that really wouldn't be the actual boxing public's perspective on a win over Jaron Ennis. Like, I'm a boxing fan straight up. And if Crawford did anything close to what he did to Errol Spence to Jaron Boots Ennis, I mean, I would not say, oh, hey, no, this doesn't make sense. He was too young. You have never, like, I'm correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think I've ever seen somebody get tore up in a fight and said they lost the fight because they was too young. Mike Tyson, he was like 20 years old when he beat Trevor Berbick, 21 years old. Hi, it's me, Mike Tyson. Cuss told me I'm unstoppable. I'm inconquerable. I'm here to punish him. I want to beat Trevor Berbick. I'm not a textbook fighter. I fight to win, totally to win. Right? And nobody says that. Tyson was young. There's a lot of guys that have been young, and Devin Haney became undisputed, youngest undisputed. So I don't think people would say these things that Crawford is predicting. The other thing I find funny is Terence Crawford, he tends to talk in a contradictory fashion. He'll say things, take it back, say things, real passive aggressive, right? He'll say in this interview with The Breakfast Club that he doesn't give a F, he's earned it, and he's at a spot in his career where he doesn't care what people think. But he's in the same interview saying he doesn't want to fight Jaron Boots Ennis, or he's not going to, or whatever. It's a lose-lose situation because of what people think. So it's like, this doesn't seem like a well thought out argument. How are you going to say on one hand, I don't give a F what people say, you know, I've earned it the hard way, out the mud, blah, 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 from the trenches, yada, yada, yada. But then your whole excuse, or the reason that you cited for not fighting Jaron Boots Ennis, is a bunch of what you feel people will say if you were to beat Jaron Boots Ennis. So it's a bit of double talking, if you guys see the point. Either you care what people think or you don't care what people think. So to me, that's not a strong enough reason for you to just discount Jaron Boots Ennis in its totality and just go off and say, hey, it's a lose-lose situation. And you open up the Breakfast Club, you guys could listen to the clip at the beginning. He literally told you, he said, everyone keeps saying and asking me about Boots. So you're telling us on live on the air that the fans are asking you about the Boots fight and want to see it, but then you're also dismissive and dismissing the fight. The other issue I have, even if this is your standpoint where Boots is a lose-lose situation, then what is up with past statements where Terence Crawford sounded like he was willing to entertain the Boots fight? Makes no sense. So you guys see it. I posted this after the Errol Spence victory. Terence Crawford, the direct quote that he did an interview, he says, quote, the fight with Boots, that could happen because we're in the same weight class, but at this point in time, I'm looking for bigger and better opportunities. So it's all over the place. You said it could happen because you're in the same weight class, and this was to Hot 97. You said, I'm looking for bigger opportunities, but you said it could happen. And then you went on the Breakfast Club, and then you were completely dismissive of the fight, like it can't happen. It's a lose-lose situation. It's pointless to happen. So I'm just wondering what's up with that, and which one is it? Like, you're saying it could happen because we're in the same weight class, but I'm looking for bigger and better opportunities. So it was like a kind of a turning it down, but not all the way. But then a week later, you're on the Breakfast Club, and it sounds like you're not even interested in the fight. And then your reason you're citing is because, again, people will make excuses. But you said you don't care what people says, and you don't care a bunch of YouTubers and people don't know ish about boxing. So why not give a fight that you know people want to see, and he's your mandatory? And keep that thought in your mind to the end of this video. I got more I'm about to cook up on. My other issue with it is, what was the whole conversation? You've been on Gilly and Wallow's podcast at least 2 times, and they kept asking you, them being from Philly, they were asking about Boots. And then you did a FaceTime with Boots, or they FaceTimed him, or whatever the situation was. And Crawford was like, you drunk. And then Boots was like, you don't want to fight. And he was like, you sleepy, you drunk. And it was making it sound like a buildup, like people wanted to see it. Then after you beat Errol Spence, Wallow sent this message that you guys see on the screen. And he was like, man, you a monster. What about that Boots fight? And he says, y'all trying to see another dead body. So I'm just wondering, who does Crawford actually want to fight that is available and realistic? Because you're saying Boots is a dead body. He's your mandatory and he's available. And you're saying that, oh, people are going to make excuses because he's young. Who cares? Especially when you consider, if you go anywhere on the internet, anybody who's realistic, they're saying that Errol Spence, it looked like something was wrong with him. So there, if your whole point of view is like, hey, I'm not going to get the credit for beating this guy, guess what? There's a lot of people that feel Errol Spence was depleted and weight drained. Abel Sanchez talked about it. Shane Mosley said he looked dehydrated and weak, stuff like that. So yeah, you get credit for the win, but there's also a lot of people that feel that Errol Spence shot himself in the foot trying to make weight and fight off a long layoff. Jaron Ennis is 100% healthy to our knowledge. He's young. He's able to make the weight and bounce back and snap back the next day. I don't think it's such a bad fight at all. So as I've continued to say throughout this video, I think the nature in which Crawford is handling it and just completely dismissive of Boots that's the part that's the most off-putting.
Gotcha. And my next question for you is, you're the type of guy that when you're at 35, 40, and now 47, you were always either looking at who's the top guy here that I haven't fought yet, or who's like a guy that's like under me or making his way up. Damn, this dude to fight. So we got Jaron Ennis, man. And I know you're focused on Errol Spence, but it's every time Jaron fights, this dude is just whooping everybody. And Floyd has praised him. Leonard Ellaby has praised him. Roy Jones has praised him. You're focused completely on Errol. But do you look at Jaron and say, oh, look, man, I got to fight this dude. He's fighting his assholes. Everybody praising him. That's a dude I need to fight maybe after the rematch.
Always said Boots a great talent. I always told everybody that I supported him. I've been supporting him since he was in the amateurs when he was fighting Gary Russell. I always supported him because they always said he remind them so much of me. But seeing him, I see myself in him. And yes, he deserved a title shot. He deserved it all. His time will come. But right now, business is business.
Floyd is praising him, Roy Jones, everybody really. Like, would a part of you, and not looking past Terence, but would a part of you be like, yo, this kid is good. I gotta fight this kid.
Yeah, nice as hell, but I'm at part of my career. The money right, I'll fight anybody, so I ain't tripping.
Because here's the thing. When it came to Crawford, him, his team, Tim Bradley, who was definitely a mouthpiece for Terence Crawford as well and advocating for him, they all said something very similar. And they said stuff like, Tim Bradley was like, PBC, I don't respect none of y'all because y'all don't want to fight Bud Crawford. He's begging. He's begging. That's what Tim Bradley said. Well, guess what? Jaron Ennis, whether he's ready or not, he's begging for the opportunity to prove himself, and you're completely writing it off as the undisputed champion. This sounds really like Canelo, what he's doing to David Benavidez. And to me, I think that becomes a bit sus, because how is it that you have YouTubers and Facebook groups and Instagram people, they'll call Canelo out for, the fans are saying, Benavidez, fight David Benavidez. Some people even saying, fight David Morrell. These are the guys that can challenge you. That's what people feel. We're the consumer. The consumer is telling Canelo, and he says, oh, Benavidez, you fight nobody. Who have you beat? This is what Crawford is doing. How is it any different? Canelo's undisputed at 168, and he's fronting on David Benavidez saying, you fight nobody, and what have you done? You beat one Darrell. Who cares? And that's kind of what Crawford is doing. But the difference is Canelo has a bit more seasoning on that resume, and he has more fights, and he has A-lister events. Crawford, to this day, Wilder voice, still hasn't done over 1 million pay-per-view buys. And this was the fight. If any fight was to do that, most people thought it would be this fight. Me, I could talk that talk because I bought the fight. I promoted the fight. I spent my money on it, you know, so I've supported it. I ordered it, and I wanted it to do over 1 million, but they're saying it did 650K buys. And then you got a guy like Crawford who is undisputed. You did a good thing. You're 2X undisputed, talented fighter, but he's writing off options like almost as if he's Floyd Mayweather or Canelo. Like he has these big, like Floyd, of course, Floyd can fight Conor McGregor and do this big box office mega fight. Of course he's going to do that. I mean, even with Canelo, you see him using his A side, and he gets to have top billing against the champion like Dimitri Bivol, or he gets to move up Jermell Charlo 14 pounds while he's comfortable at his weight. So yeah, when you're that much of a star, you have a little bit of leniency on, because you're making big events, I guess you could say, and you have the status and stature. Crawford just had his best and biggest fight and best promotion, and he did 650, 700,000, which is less than Canelo versus Caleb Plant when they fought for undisputed. So yeah, I don't really prefer what I'm hearing from Crawford regarding Boots and just dismissing this all the way. In addition, Boots is available Virgil Ortiz can't make weight, and they're talking about he's moving up to 54, so he's kind of out the picture. Crawford, in my opinion, would be wise to not sit on this victory. He didn't take any punishment from what I've seen, and he would want to build on it, get another $1 million payday, stay busy, stay ready, and the guys he's calling out just aren't feasible. Gervonta Davis, a lightweight. Gervonta just got out of jail, and he's fighting his career. His whole team keeps saying he's fighting his career at 35. So Ryan Garcia, in my opinion, is a bigger star. He's more known than Terence Crawford. And Ryan didn't get to fight at 140 because Tank is the A side. So why would Tank Davis move up 14 pounds or whatever, 2 weight classes to fight Crawford at 147? So it's weird to hear Crawford advocate for these fights. I get it. You want to make up for lost time. You want some of the big fights. I get it. But the Tank fight, we know is not going to happen. And then even he keeps saying he wants to fight Jermell Charlo. That's a banger. That's a great fight. But literally, I got an email from PBC the other day. They're doing a press conference for Charlo versus Canelo. So why wait when they're literally fighting at the end of September 30th, and he's moving up 14 pounds? I don't even want to see a guy like Charlo go up 14 pounds, win, lose, or draw, no matter what the outcome is, and then gut himself and deplete his body to try to fight Crawford at 154. So it would have been better if the Canelo fight wasn't happening. Then I'd be all in on the Crawford and Charlo fight. That would be big business. The other issue is the WBO is stripping Charlo. I made a video about this. So it really wouldn't even be for Undisputed anymore. So there's really no guarantee that if he's getting stripped of at least one belt, others could follow. So there's really no guarantee that he'll even have all of his belts. It could be a Josh Taylor type of situation. When Josh Taylor fought Teofimo, he literally had one belt and he was undisputed at the weight class. But, that's just that. But I even despite the being stripped and stuff like that, I don't want to see, I learned this from Roy Jones, I don't want to see guys move up in weight and bulk up and do all this stuff and then have to travel back down 2 divisions. So move up 2 divisions in your 30s and then travel back down 2 divisions. I don't think that's wise for anybody. 1 division, like Floyd, okay, he pop in at 154 and then go back to 47. But Floyd is an anomaly. Floyd is insanely disciplined, and he's close to his walking around weight. But a lot of these other guys, like Jermell Charlo, looks like he's literally packing on muscle. I really don't want to see him go back down to fight someone at 154 straight away, especially someone who hasn't even fought at 154. You know what I mean? So again, it's not really making sense. You're calling out Canelo at 158 or 160 or saying you would fight him. That's not realistic because he's not going to fight you at your weight. He's not. It's just that simple. I've already talked about this. It's that simple. He's not going to drop down, win, lose, or draw with Charlo. He's not going to drop down 10 pounds for Terence Crawford, who's not selling over $1 million in the biggest fight of his career. It's not going to happen. And I hope I made myself abundantly clear. Canelo in that equation would be the A side. I think if Canelo and Crawford were equally sized people, then Crawford would beat him all day. But again, when we're talking about somebody moving up 3 weight classes and things like that, then nah, it's not the same fight. I truly believe if Crawford and Canelo naturally were in the same weight class, then yeah, I would pick Crawford all day. But then if somebody's moving up 3 weight classes, it don't matter how good you are, you might not be the favorite. So yeah, I don't really like Crawford eliminating the option publicly on a show like The Breakfast Club, but he's talking about Charlo or Tank catch weights, or not even a catch weight for Tank, but a catch weight for Canelo. Just none of that really makes sense. I understand you want millions, you want the big fights, the big money fights and stuff like that, but a lot of that you could have been having if you worked on your resume by signing with PBC earlier. Finally, in closing, so I've talked about different aspects that I disagree with Crawford about regarding fighting Boots. Another one is just like you put this out in the past, like, oh, I'll fight anybody. So Boots is and here's the thing. The thing I don't understand with the Bud Buddies, if Crawford destroys Boots Ennis, I mean, we've suffered from worse. Like, how is that any worse than David Avocado? How is it any worse than watching Crawford versus Kell Brook at the year he fought Kell Brook, or Sean Porter, podcast Porter, on the verge of retirement? You see what I'm saying? So it's like, it is looking bad for the Bud Buddies because they seem really against this Boots Ennis fight. And I think it's a terrific fight. If Crawford just kicks his ass, then that's just what happens. Like, and I even see comments like, oh, you just want Bud to lose. But Bud just told Wallow, y'all trying to see a dead body. So he's saying he'll beat Jaron Ennis, and it's a great fight, and I'm a consumer, and I'll pay for the fight. What are we talking about? So it seems Crawford is all over the place. He's saying he won't go higher than 154. Then he's saying he'll fight Canelo at 158 or 160. He's saying Tank is too small and he's too little. But just listen to what I'm saying. He's saying Tank is too little, but he's saying it's a big money fight, so he would still fight him. But he's saying Tank is too little, so if Tank is too little, then if you beat Tank, you're not going to get credit for beating a guy who moved up in such fashion and had to move up in so much weight. He was like, oh, Tank's only 5'5". So why are you open to fighting a 5'5" guy moving up double-digit pounds knowing you won't get credit? It's just about money? Like, that's not what Crawford has said he is about. So just what I'm seeing, I don't understand why the world of boxing is looking and listening to this and okay with it. It sounds weird. It sounds weird. Now, finally, Tim Bradley said, oh, PBC guys don't want to fight Bud. He's begging and all this stuff. Crawford said he was blackballed. That's literally what he told Hot 97 after the Errol Spence. Showtime, PBC blackballed him. Aren't you, in essence, doing the same thing to Boots Ennis? Like, what? Tell me what the difference is. Tell me what the difference is. And of course, I'm Boxingego, the best in the business. So I had to save the best for last. Explain the difference. PBC didn't work with Crawford. He was with the ops. He was with Top Rank, sides of the street, cross the street, whatever you want to call it. The way Crawford has pitched this and what happened to him, he was stifled and stalled out and blackballed and kept away. Like, basically, PBC didn't feed me guys. It's not their responsibility to feed you guys. So PBC, the business didn't make sense when they had all these guys in-house. They weren't really worried about Crawford and his one belt versus Jeff Horn. So they were making over the years, Danny Garcia versus Errol, Danny Garcia versus Porter, Keith Thurman versus Porter, Keith versus Pacquiao. The only one left out of the equation was the person who chose to re-sign to Top Rank. This is the problem. But again, I ask you, save the best for last. What's the difference to what he's saying with Boots? Crawford is saying it's a lose-lose situation, a no-win situation, and it doesn't represent good business it's not like a colossal fight. But neither was David Avocado or the other fights. You just fought Errol Spence. So again, I'm asking the Bud Buddies, if you're the biggest Crawford supporter, let me know who you want to see him fight. Because people are saying, I don't want to see Errol Spence rematch. He got his butt kicked. Okay, you don't want to watch Errol Spence rematch. We know Charlo is occupied. We know Canelo is not coming down to 158 to give any advantages. If he's not going to do it to Jermell Charlo, who's undisputed at 154, why would he make a weight that he probably can't make and give Crawford an advantage by making 158, 160 for Crawford? It just doesn't make sense. You know Tank Davis is not moving up. So it's like this game plan from Crawford, I'm totally lost. I'm totally lost with what he wants to do post Errol Spence. Again, and his fans, they don't want the Errol rematch. The Tank fight is not realistic, and it's funny, the fans, when Floyd said he wants to see Tank versus Naoya Inoue at a catchweight, the old media, they got mad. They start screaming, oh, Floyd's just saying that. That's stupid. Bob Arum just did an interview, said it's a stupid fight. So if that's a stupid fight, then why are we talking about Tank Davis leaving 135 to fight Terence Crawford at 147 when it looks like Terence Crawford might be on his way out of 147 here soon? Because it looked like that weight cut really got to him, and he's getting older. So it doesn't make sense in a way, because they don't want to see him get crushed by Tank, but then they're advocating for Tank to move up and fight a 2X undisputed Crawford at 147. So again, what Crawford is saying is just not resonating with me. Canelo, not going to happen because of the catch weight. You won't get to name the catch weight. Tank, same thing, not going to happen. He's not going to move to your weight when he's the A side. People don't want the Errol Spence fight. And then Crawford himself is eliminating the Boots fight, but he was saying that he was frozen out. Then how are you not freezing out your mandatory and not giving him the opportunity? It's like, oh, he hasn't done anything. Who's he beat? He hasn't done. Who did Mean Machine beat? Who did David Avanesian beat to get the fight? What are we talking about, people? What are we talking about? And me, again, it sounds, from the Bud Buddies at least, I can't say Crawford, but the Bud Buddies, it sounds like fear, because they keep saying, oh, you just want to see Crawford lose. How do I want to see him lose? I just want to see a great fight. Errol did not look like he was up for it. And that, it looked like it had some to do with Crawford, but some to do with whatever happened in Errol Spence's life or training camp as well. Boots, there's nothing wrong with him. It's a great fight. I would support the fight. You're not going to tell me what to like as a consumer. So I like the fight with Boots. I don't think it's an option that should just be so quick to discard and dismiss, especially when we're talking about availability, as I've stated throughout this video. He's available. See, and this is what happens. You'll have, Shakur Stevenson, Terence Crawford, or different guys, and they say, hey, I've been avoiding my whole career, people ducking me. And then you have someone who's brazen, like Jaron Ennis, and call him crazy, call him ready for it, say his defense is lacking, whatever. But he's openly and boldly calling out Crawford and saying he wants that and he wants to prove people wrong. But then Crawford doesn't sound like he's willing to give him the opportunity, the same opportunity he wanted from PBC when he was with Top Rank. Crawford is not going to give and extend the olive branch to the young Philly native because it's a, quote, lose-lose situation. I think everybody should analyze what I've presented in this video and then come back with some better thoughts. Drop your thoughts in the comment section. We unpack. Introducing Super Thanks. Right here on the official Boxingego YouTube. Super Thanks allows you, the viewers, to show a little bit of extra gratitude, which enables me as a full-time content creator to push out the content you need in the world of boxing. Underneath all the videos, you will see a heart with the $sign in it. You can enter any amount that you find suitable as a super thanks. A brand new, interactive, and colorful way to get your comments highlighted and noticed by not only myself, but other people on the YouTube platform. Super thanks, a unique and cool way to show and applaud us full-time content creators. Hopefully you guys enjoy the content. Super thanks. The future is now. The Hibernation 5s by Kenichi Bear. Hybrid gaming and lifestyle headphones. Out of the box, you can connect to any console or PC. Bluetooth ready with a low latency USB adapter, color RGB, and extreme bass mode. The Hibernation 5s adjust to you. Whether you need a gaming, travel, gym, or lifestyle headphones, the Hibernations got you covered. The new Hibernation 5s, link in the description. Customize the way you hear the world. Welcome to the nation. Are you tired of your YouTube videos not getting any views? Well, consider TubeBuddy. I've used TubeBuddy for years to scale up my YouTube channel. Now we're sitting over 200,000 subscribers. TubeBuddy is a browser extension that offers a ton of built-in productivity and time-saving services to take your channel to the next level. Use my link in the description to get started with TubeBuddy and level up your channel faster. We working.